I don't think anyone will join today. I'll just, after 1 minute, I will start and I'll just go through all these slides. Those are prepared for today. And I'll just record the session. And if anyone if anyone joins in the middle, they will be able to see what is going on. And I will also, if you, for the sake of the recording, who will be watching the recording, so for them, I'll say that you should ask the questions in the forum if you are having doubt regarding any of the previous sessions or regarding this session, and that will be answered in the subsequent live sessions of Tuesday. Okay, so we'll start. But as nobody is present, I will just go through the slides and I'll not wait uh, for you to solve the questions. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. Okay, Ojim has joined. Thank you for joining and good evening. I was just about to start and go through the slides uh, and lecture to the void. Okay, so I have not started yet. So today actually I will be mainly going through the mainly today's session is all about short questions. Today, no mathematical problem is there uh, because the class is like that way only. There is not much problems. There are not such formulas on which, depending on which you can solve the problem. So let's start. My name is Shutanu Shadukhan. I am a PhD student of IIT Bombay. I am your facilitator for the weekly interactive session of week 9 of C86 of that is NPTEL course under the name of Water Economics and Government Governance, offered by Dr. Manoj Kumar Theory of Water Resources, School of Water Resources of IIT Kharagpur. Okay, so where are we? We are at the ninth week, and with this session, actually, all the 70%, 75%, or three-fourth of the all the sessions are covered, and it is the end of the September month. So I hope that most of you has watched the last either the recording or the live session of Dr. Tiwari, which occurred at the last Thursday from 3 p.m. And if you not have yet watched it, you can watch it in the YouTube. The link is provided here, and so if you not have yet watched, I recommend you to go through the recording. And if you have watched, I uh, I will suggest you to uh, tell about your feedbacks on this session in the forum, that is in the course forum, where the ask a question, that tab is there. So clicking on that, you can provide your feedbacks on the SAT session, and also the weekly Tuesday sessions which have occurred until now. Okay, so today's session is all about short questions and MCQs. So the first MCQ for you is as follows. Which one of the following is among the formal elements of water governance? Option A, customary laws. Option B, tacit understandings. Option C, property rights. And option D is all of the above. This property rights is the general property rights, not the intellectual one. But nowadays there is a big hype on the intellectual property rights and patenting, because India has many rich history of its civilization, but the practice of patenting, calling something on your own, and having a good amount of income based on that. This culture was actually not there in India. It came from the West, the patenting concept of patenting and intellectual property rights law. And now India is actually this concept is getting very popular in India. Okay, but anyways, and what are the customary laws and tacit understanding? So the word customary means what has always been done and accepted by law. So that is related to custom. So that's why it is customary law. And the word tacit means difficult to express and or extract, thereby difficult to transfer to others by formal means. Formal means by writing or by speech in a, formal setup like code or something. So that is the meaning of the word tacit. So which one of the following elements is among the formal elements of water governance that you have to tell? Oh, okay, okay. So you are staying in you are from which state? Ajim, I forgot actually. I saw, but I forgot. Okay, okay, okay. I am also from Maharashtra actually. I am in Mumbai actually. Now there is no rain, but in morning there was a little bit. Uh, and you are attending from your mobile device or laptop. So if you are okay, okay. So no charges. If you are attending the session, ensure that that is enough charged. Otherwise, there may be in between it may get disconnected if power failure is there. And also it is not recommended that while charging one should not use that mobile. Though the mobiles are the batteries are pretty safe nowadays, but still. Okay, so you are this question you are telling option D, and we will see. So the explanation is as follows: concessions, legislations, property and water use rights are formalized agreements and are the formal elements of water governance. So I think you know the meaning of these words. The concessions, legislations is related to legal aspects. This is the property rights, the general property rights, and the water use rights, which is basically the right to water. It is based on the international and national acts or regulations, which describes the people's right to water. Okay, so I think you have. I mean, so the thing is that option C is that property rights is among the formal elements of water governance. Why? Because as the water governance is a general aspect, it is related to the people's right to water, and it consists of all the common people, not only the elite class or not only the intellectually upper class people. So that's why the tacit understanding must not be there, because because what happens that if some elements of the law or some elements of the water governance rules are not understandable to the common public, then actually the formal elements makes no sense or have no use. And why the customary law is not a not one of the following formal elements, it is because the actually water governance rules and regulations changes with respect to time. It does not remain the same throughout time. So it is not based on customs. Depending on the resources constraints, as it gets changed, the way the state and national bodies will govern the resources, that also changes. So that's why it is also not a formal element of the water governance. Whereas apart from property rights, the water use rights, these legislations, the not the customary laws, but other kinds of legislative instruments and concessions, and also formalized agreements. Though the agreements must be understandable to all the public, but it must be formally written somewhere, so that if in future some dispute arises, one can always refer to those agreements and resolve the conflicts. So that's why these are all the formal elements of water governance. And in these options, the property right is the correct option. Okay. So now the next MCQ is, which one of the following methods can assist in the implementation of right to water? So option A is making water free for all consumers. Option B is legislation and policy integration with accountability mechanisms or measures. Option C is completely privatize water services, including supply, monitoring, and regulations. And option D is all of the above. Okay. Uh, Completely privatization versus yeah. Option B, I don't think it should be. Okay, we'll see the answer. The explanation is as follows: bringing the right to water under legislations and policy integration for implementation along with accountability mechanisms is believed to be helpful in implementation of the right to water, as also right to sanitation. Making water for free or complete privatization of water aren't recommended for financial sustainability and social equity concerns. So option B is the correct answer. I think here it should be I think you answered it correctly. There I think some problem is there. Making water free for all consumers and completely privatizations. These will something that will actually resist in the implementation of right to water. So instead of assist, the question must be, I think, resist. And option B actually helps. It No, no, I think it is correct, because if the question was which one of the following methods can resist, then option A and C will be the correct answer. Because if you privatize the water completely, then that water may not be available to the poor class of people. Then the implementation of the right to water will get hampered. And if you make the free for all the consumers, then the government or private body who is implementing that right to water, for them, the I mean their treatment and supply, all the entire system will not be financially sustainable for them. So I think it is correct only. The option B will only assist in the implementation of the right to water. If the question was the to resist, then option A and C would be the answer, I think. Okay. So I think you thought it to be resist. That's right. Okay. We will move on to the next MCQ. Economic dimension of water governance is concerned with option A, efficient use, option B, environmental sustainability, option C, equitable use, and option D is recreational use. So the economic dimension is concerned with which type of use? One is efficiency use, efficiency in terms of money, efficiency in terms of uh, energy utilization. The environmental sustainability means one should not, for example, if you consider the groundwater recharge, if you are withdrawing water from the ground, then that not be more than the infiltration. If you are withdrawing water from the lake, that should not be more than the lake recharge, which occurs through precipitation on the lake and runoff from the ground, etc. The equitable use is equitable with respect to people, and recreational use is just like, for example, fountain. So if you are installed a fountain at the mid, it is just an example. If you have installed a fountain at the middle of a city, or a recreational site, it may incur water losses with evaporation. So evaporative loss will be there. So, and also energy loss will be there. So how much? So whether it is concerned with the economic dimension of water governance or not, that is the question. Okay, we're telling option B. I think environmental sustainability, in the long run, it is related with the economic dimension. But uh, uh, water governance as a whole actually considers how to distribute the water in the present scenario. So that's why the sustainable use is related to environmental dimension and equitable use with the social dimension of water governance. So sustainable use is related to the environmental dimension, and the equitable use is related with the social dimension of water governance, because it is related to the people, and efficient use is concerned with the economic dimension. That is the option A. So economic dimension means efficiency, as I told, in terms of energy and or money, etc. So both, if the system is efficient, in the both case savings will be there, and energy saving also leads to your economic saving, because energy is not free; it has to be bought from some power plant, or either thermal or nuclear, etc., and it incurs cost. As in Maharashtra, in the year of 2021 or 22, the cost of electricity was average 9 rupees per kilowatt hour for industries, like that way. So the efficient use is related to the economic dimension, the environmental dimension is related with the sustainable use, and equitable use is the related with the social dimension, and recreational use, you may say, it is related with the uh, uh, willing to pay, those aspects of water governance. Okay, so here the economic dimension is related to the efficient use. Now the next MCQ is allocation of budgets is the obligation that right to water imposes on option A state parties, option B consumer, option C NGOs, and option D corporates and or private companies. I'll wait for 2 minutes. I hope if you are having doubt any regarding how why the answers are like that way in all the previous questions, you can ask that I disagree with that or something. So you can counter question that why we are not considering this case or like that way. Whatever was written in the book, based on that I have prepared this thing, or I mean, further asking question also enables us, or also pushes us to uh, consider other scenarios which may not be in the book. So it is always encouraged. But yes, from exam point of view, or scoring marks, or etc., whatever is written, we have to, fortunately or unfortunately, we have to go with that only. Okay, so this question is the allocation of budget is the obligation that right to water imposes on. So right to water is a act or law or whatever that I mean, as per the right to water, who should allocate the budget? That is the question. Who among the four bodies would allocate the budget as per the right to water? That is the question. So it is state bodies, consumers, NGOs, or corporate and or private companies. That is the question. So as per the right to water, if the it is not as per the right to water, some private companies or corporates are supplying the water, then it may show that allocation of budgets, it may depend on them, the private bodies. But here it is, the question is as per the right to water, who should budget, allocate the budget? Okay, I'll go with the answer. So the explanation is as follows: as with any human right, right to water imposes three types of obligations to state parties. So that is the option A. What are the three types of obligations? So number one is fulfill, which includes measures that is directed towards full realization of the right. For example, by passing legislation that we discussed earlier, devising and implementing programs, allocating budgets, which is actually in our within our question, and monitoring their progress. Or the number two of the obligation is the respect. So government must refrain from unfairly interfering with people's access to water. For example, by disconnecting their water supply. So if some government official is there and he or she wants to personally take revenge on a particular area, or a particular community or a particular family by cutting their water supply as per the right to water, he or she cannot do that. That is your respect. And the third obligation is government must protect people's access to water from interference by other, for example by preventing pollution. So that interference may be man-made, that interference may be nature. So governments must protect or must try to protect people's as per the ability of the government. uh, Government should protect the people's right for accessing the water. Okay, so here option A is the correct answer. So all the obligations are imposed on the state parties. It is not the responsibility of the consumers, it is not the responsibility of NGOs. And as per the right to water, as the right to water is concerned, it is not the responsibility for the corporates or private bodies either. Okay, now the next MCQ is water governance refers to various political, socio-economic, and administrative systems in order to A. Develop and manage water resources. Option B. Deliver water services at different levels of the society. Option C. Control the decision making. And option D is all the above. So within the water governance, various political, socio-economics, and administrative systems are discussed or covered. Why? Because of which of the following reasons? That is the thing. So these are the reasons: to develop and manage water resources, to deliver water services at different level of the society, and to control the decision making, and all of the above. Okay, Ajim, are you there? You can answer. Or yes, one thing I would like to say at the in the last class, at the last there was a problem. Uh, so if you are able to understand the problem, then it's okay. If you are not able to understand, I can again open those slides and again explain those things. So at the last of the previous class, actually I went uh, uh, faster than the rest of the class at the last problem. So if you want to rediscuss that, I can rediscuss it, reopen that slide and rediscuss. Otherwise, we will go with today's slides. So yes. I'll go with the explanation. So the water decisions are anchored in governance systems across three levels, that is government, civil society, and the private sector. So there may be cases that in some areas government is unable to supply the water, but there is the private sector is well set up there to supply water for to the common people. So in that cases, that private sector must be uh, a part of the policies related to the water governance, which includes allocating and distributing water equitably and efficiently and integrating water management approaches, uh, formulating, establishing and implementing water policies, legislations, and institutions. So I think here all of the above will be the correct answer. The development and management of water resources, the to deliver the water services at the different levels, that is poor and both the rich and also the middle class level of the society, and to control the decision making. All the above are referred by the water government. I mean, all of the above are the reasons for which water governance refers to these political, socio-economics, and administrative systems, various aspects. Okay. Now the next MCQ is the recommended mode of delivery of water services under the right to water is option A by state regulated public departments, option B by private companies, option C by public private partnerships or PPP agencies, and option D is no specific mode is recommended. The recommended mode of delivery of water services. So how one thing is related under the right to water, that who should budget, who should your that is called who should decide the policies, who should set up the rules and regulations. All those things actually comes under the state parties, or you may say as the state regulated public departments. But what is the recommended mode for the delivery of water services? So it is not your the determining what are the rules and regulations of water services. It is not related with the with determining the budgeting or the cost, the which will the which will be incurred by the consumers. So those are different things. Those aspects are regulated by state parties uh, under the right to water. But what is the recommended mode for delivery of water services? That is the question. So it may or may not be the state regulated. That is you have to answer. Rajim, you are trying to answer, right? I'm sorry that today session is something like today don't have any mathematical problem. But if you like MCQs and related discussions and everything, then it will be interesting session. But otherwise, it is just kind of if you have gone through the lectures of week 9 that was delivered in the your portal of water of NPTEL water governance, then you can answer the questions, and it is not actually related to. I mean, there are no formula for to solve a problem in this session, and some of the your questions are also kind of recapitulation of what we have studied until now throughout the all the 9 weeks. 9 weeks lectures and learnings and understanding what you have learned till now. Some questions are also based on that. But today's session, there will be no problem solving. So welcome, Sanjay. You can look at the other other questions which has been discussed till now. In the recording, you can see them later in YouTube, which will be uploaded tonight. And the current question is in your screen. Here it is asked as, what is the recommended mode of delivery of water services under the right to water? So I'll go with the explanation. So the human right to water does not address the mode of service delivery. Public authorities must exercise effective control over the water services after first choosing the most appropriate management method, that is public, private and or semi-private for those services. Okay, so no specific mode recommended is the answer. That is option D. Welcome Ashish. Good evening. I'll tell Ashish and Sanjay, if you have watched the recording of the last class, there was a tough problem at the end. If you have watched the record and you have not understood how it is solved, then please write it in the chat box. I can rediscuss that problem. If you have understood, we will go with the questions which are prepared based on the week 9's lecture. Okay, so I think this question is clear to you. Why? Because under the right to water, it is stated that the public authorities, mostly the state level public authorities, they should decide which which should be the mode for water service delivery. So it is written in the right to water, but uh, what should be the mode, that is not written there. So that's why no specific mode is recommended. It is left up to the decision of the public authorities. They must exercise effective control over the water services, and in order to do that, they first choose the most appropriate management method, whether they should go with PPP, whether they should go with delivering the water with the help of public companies, or they themselves should build and regulate the entire infrastructure for such delivery of water services. Okay, so the next MCQ is as follows. Which one of the below systems is directly linked to water governance? Option A is political and administrative systems. Option B is social and political systems. Option C is economic and administrative systems. And option D is all the above. I think all the following systems are linked to water governance. But here the question is, which one of the following systems is directly linked? Either all of the three or any one of the three. You can write your answer in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay, Ashish has left, I think. So the thing is that I think in this week's assignments also, most of the questions are short questions only. I don't think problems are there. If it is there, I think it is discussed in the previous class. If you still find some problems that are not discussed, the concept is not clear to you, then you can always write it in the forum, and we will solve that problem in these sessions. In the next upcoming three left sessions are there. So you will, if some problem is still not clear to you, whether it is discussed or not discussed, we can rediscuss again. Okay, you are saying that all of the above. Wajim is saying, Sanjay also is saying as option D. So the explanation is as under. So political, social, administrative, and economic systems are directly linked to water governance. So all are linked and all are also directly linked to water governance, and all are basically discussed uh, in your right to water. So what the systems might look like in such scenario. Okay. So now the you have given it correctly the answer. And now the next MCQ is sanitation is considered as available when option A sufficient numbers of toilets are available, option B collection, transport, treatment, disposal and or reuse are ensured in a hygienic way. Option C is toilet facilities are usually accessible, sorry, and free. And option D is privacy is ensured, especially for women and girls. So when the sanitation is considered as available, under which one of the following condition? What the word sanitation means, that is related to the option. I think we will see. You can write your answer in the chat box. Sanjay is telling us option B. I also think it option B only. Okay, we will see. Because there is no all of the above. Otherwise, sufficient number of toilets and toilet facilities are easily accessible and free. These two options also is some way related to the your uh, some way relatable. So as that option is not there and it's an MCQ, you can I think option B will be the correct answer. We will see the explanation here. So only proper collection, transport, treatment, disposal and or reuse of water in hygienic way can ensure sanitation, because the what sanitation means that only the transport, treatment and disposal must be proper. Otherwise it may, if these are not hygienic, then it may your lead to waterborne diseases, right? So these are done in a proper hygienic way, then this can prevent various health related problems by preventing those diseases. So option B is the correct answer, as you have said. Next MCQ is, in order to enhance the effectiveness of water governance, policy making, financing, and budgeting are primarily undertaken by option A private companies, option B individuals, option C NGOs, option D is state parties. I will not wait for much for this, because in early one of such earlier problems we have seen. Uh, So water distribution is related to all the parties, whether it is private company, whether it is an individual basis. Distribution is related to everyone. But if in order to enhance the effectiveness of water governance, so only the three aspects. That is not a distribution aspect. That is policy making, financing, and budgeting. These three aspects are undertaken by which one of the following agencies? So, I mean, I think it is pretty clear. I'll not wait for this answer much. So, we'll go with the explanation, where state parties can undertake policy making, financing, and budgeting tasks, which are asked in our question. They also engages the stakeholders and also does evaluations and capacity developments. So, who are the stakeholders? The parties, that is the state parties, who are involved in policy making, financing and budgeting, and also the individuals who are your consuming the water, and also some places private companies are distributing and treating the water, and NGOs are involved in increasing the awareness of people who will be using the water to use that water in a less amount, as much less as possible, except the sanitation like taking bath and etc., because those are certain your private aspects though. So there you cannot fix the amount, but the other amount and time with respect to that you cannot fix that. But the other cases, the NGOs are involved, so that they can increase the awareness of people and to actually make the water resources usable and available for future generation in a sustainable manner. So all the NGOs, the parties who are supplying the water, it may be private or state parties, and individuals who are consuming the water, all are the stakeholders. So state parties can undertake in engaging those stakeholders, and they also does evaluations and capacity developments. Evaluations means your budgeting or costing of the water supplied, or maybe evaluating how much water is available for supplying to the public, whether as per the demand some new equipments or new resources must be explored. So those are your evaluation aspects of the state parties. And capacity development means, so resources may be available but infrastructure may not be there, for example your economic water scarcity. So in that case they have to develop more capacities to supply that water. All the decisions are taken in by the state parties to enhance effective water governance. Okay, so option D is your correct answer. Now, next MCQ is, which one of the following pairs is incorrect according to definitions and or requirements related to water rights? So, option A is sufficient with basic needs and healthcare concerns are met. Option B is shape with aesthetically satisfactory. Option C is physically accessible with within the immediate vicinity. And option D is affordable with low cost or with subsidies. So whether the pairs are matching with, with each other or not, that we will have to look at. So if they are not matching, if there is an incorrect pair, that is the option. That is the correct option. So you can write your answer in the chat box again. Okay. So okay. You are here. You are telling it option B. So safe and aesthetically satisfactory. Yes. After this, I will go with whatever doubt you are having. So after this question, actually, I think this question you have answered it correctly. So we'll go with the explanation. So the safety is concerned to water that is free from pollutants and pathogens, but being aesthetically satisfactory is related to water being acceptable. So I believe in the last discussion sessions, sir told one thing, that there is a concept in water that is called your the water may be colored. So the colored water, but it may not be detrimental to the physical health of the users or consumers. So that means the water is not aesthetic because it is colored, but it is maybe because of presence of some non harmful elements, inorganic organic elements in the water. The water may be colored, but it is not that reason for that coloring is not the pollutants and pathogens. So that means the water is still safe. So those two pairs may not match with each other. So option B is correct, as you have told. Okay. So before going to the next question, I would like to take up about your doubt on the week 9 lecture. So this is your week 9 we are actually, this is week 9's materials only, based on which we are actually discussing. So I think you are talking about what SAD has. I mean, SAD's lectures. Those are uploaded in your forum, right? So
Yes, sir.
okay. So you can I mean you can ask your doubt. I'll take a note of that. If I know the answer, I will immediately answer. Otherwise, I will answer it in the next session. Just wait. Or it may so happen that while answering the today's problems, also your doubt may get cleared. Okay, so you can ask your question. So what is it?
Sir, I want to know the answer whether outside water sector management activities uh, can be affected the governance and management of water resource or not.
Uh,
Outside water sector and management activities
out.
can be directly affected the governance and management of water resource or not.
Okay. You are talking about a factor which directly affects the water management of management of water resources or not. So I actually
The
missed the
parameter
fact.
which is related to the outside water sectors
Outside water
sector.
sector.
Yes.
Okay. So okay. Okay, so I think couple of MCQs are in this session also based on that. Still, I will try to answer your question. The thing is that if there are water resources in the outside and water resources in inside of the country, so it may so one of such things I think we actually discussed in our one of the previous sessions also I think. So one example I will give. uh, See, there are certain rivers which flow through different countries. There are Shangpo rivers, which is named as Brahmaputra in India, which is again rejoining with Padma river of Bangladesh. There is Ganga river which goes through India and Bangladesh. So the things, if you consider the country Bangladesh. Okay. So with respect to Bangladesh, India will be an outside country, and the policies or the water activities those are happening with the Ganga rivers, or whatever management activities are undertaken by the Indian government, that is external to Bangladesh, right? But it may in certain extent affect the internal water activities of Bangladesh also. For example, if there is a flood, and if there is a dam before the river entering to Bangladesh, and they just open it uh, suddenly, so it may create flood like situation in Bangladesh, right? Or if you for example consider the river Shangpo or Brahmaputra, right? So Shangpo is flowing through Tibet and India. So now the activities which are related to the Shangpo river, that is external to India. So for example, they are installing certain dams in the Sangpo river in the Tibet region. Now that dam which they have installed for their power generation purpose or hydel project or anyways. So if that dam may create your water scarcity in India, where the name of the river is Brahmaputra. For example, in the Assam region, it may so happen. So external activities may affect your internal activities. So in that times, certain these type of conflicts are resolved with international bodies, that are international norms, that if certain water resources are shared by multiple countries, or let's say multiple states, then if it is within the state or within the country, then it is a matter of national issues. It can be resolved in national courts, but an international issues which are shared by more than one countries, then these issues are resolved basically in your international courts. But for, let's say, international court gave certain let's say the international norm is in such a way that uh, one should equally share the water, right? If there are two countries and one river is flowing in both of them, maybe one sub river has flowed before entering to the next country, and what should be the percentage of division of the water that must be shared within that those two countries. Let's say international norm says it is 50%. So water must be distributed in a 50-50 manner. But it may so happen that the country A is having lesser population than country B. So the water that is shared in the country A, their per capita availability is, let's say, it is coming under the water surplus region, or water or let's say, or adequate water region. But the next country, where the next 50% of water is flowing as per the international norms, it is not violating the international rule, but their population is much more. So per capita basis, their water may be it may fall in the scarce region or water stressed region. So in that situation, if those two countries are friendly with each other, then the country B may ask for water from country A with by payment of some other goods, or some other money. It depends on the government level agreements or MOUs or whatever. But if those two countries are not friendly with each other, and the country A don't agree to share more water, or the surplus water with country B, then the country B has to explore the additional resources for water. For example, desalination, or rainwater harvesting, or groundwater resources, or any other uh, kind of water resource they have to explore. So that means in their policy, or implementing water right to water, there are external factors which they are obliged to follow. So they have to look that what the other country is doing, or other country may do in the future. So for example, for example, they are getting more water, but sometime it happened that the country A got technically very advanced. Previously they were not there, they were just sharing the water. Then they just put a dam and they started using that water. So in that situation, in the future, the country B may fall in shortage of water. So they have to they have to keep an eye on what the other country is doing, what is going on with the other country, the internal things. So I mean, these are the big aspects. The government has to look on these things. If there are certain shared resources, then I think external happenings may affect the internal policies. Now I think this answers your questions, but if you still I just gave you one example. So if you have got any other example in your mind also, you can share. Or if the question is still unclear, then also you can ask. So I think it is clear, right?
Yes, sir. So, and I have another doubt, sir.
Okay, you can ask.
Is there any relationship between development of water sector and the development of social, economical, and political regions?
Socio-economic and politicals I was able to hear. And what is the first component?
Uh, Development of water sectors.
Development of water sectors, definitely. So the thing
It's a
is that
directly proportional relationship or inversely proportional relationship.
just wait, let me write that two component. You are first telling about the development of water sector, right?
On development of water sectors.
Hmm. And secondly, you are telling about,
On development of social, economical, political regions.
okay, socio-economic and politicals. So I think they are directly proportional in most of the cases, because the development of water sector will definitely increase the social and economic aspects for people. Because why social? because if you develop your water sector, for example, if you put a treatment plant, or let's say you are exploring for newer water resources, in or you may developing the distribution sector, which are from resources to the consumers. The distribution sector is just distributing the water. The all the three cases are a development of water sectors only, and they are directly benefiting the social people, because so people will get more and more of water. The more the infrastructure are there, the price of the water will decrease. That means the water will be more available to people. And economic sector, it also your it will get developed, because the more water sector is developed, the more you can the more you can relax the bar upon industries. That industry, there are bars. Bar means there are limitation, that you should you are producing this much amount of product, so you should use this much amount of water only, not more than that. But if the water sector is developed, then on the industries, this bar will also get increased, so they will actually more water will be available to them for use. That will help them economically, and that will create more job opportunities. So that's why I think social and economical aspects will get developed, so that is directly proportional to the development of the water sector. But in terms of political sector, it may or may not, I think. Let's say I'll give an example. Let's say the you are setting up an water plant, and that plant comes under the though it is creating job opportunities and all, but it may the area or where you will set up that plant, or the water authority, they will set up the plant. So there, what may happen there, that that land may come under the possession of some group of people, right? Maybe farmers, or may not be farmers, or maybe some other that may be a community level, community possessed land also. But the thing is that and you are also agreeing to pay them for establishing or setting up your plant. But let's say it is a government project, and the political party who is in power, they have planned for such projects, and the political party who is in opposition, they may what can I say, they may influence the people who are in possession of the land in a way those are preventive to establishment of that plant. So in that case, the development of water sector may inversely act as a act with the development of political scenarios. So in case of this scenario, political agitation will happen, and that will hamper the I mean different aspects of human life. So I can say that as per my understanding, the development of water sector and development of socioeconomic economic sectors are generally directly proportional, and political sectors, it may or may not be directly proportional. So I mean, it depends on the scenario actually. So it is as per my understanding, but still, if you have got any conflicting example in your mind, you can share. Or otherwise, if later after the session also you get any conflicting I mean example that is not agreeing with this, then you can also ask in my subsequent subsequent sessions. Or also sad will conduct one live session also, there you can also ask this question, or you can ask in the forum also. I think what I have told that makes sense to you, uh, depending on
Ah,
the
yes, I
topic.
know, understood, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay.
But in previous question also we have one
Yes,
doubt,
yes,
sir.
yes,
To
yes.
understand what is mean by the outside water sector parameter, given this one simple example.
Outside water sector means, I mean,
How it is contribute to the activities of water governance, sir?
yes, yes. I mean, it I
Uh,
told, right,
is it
that
affected or unaffected?
huh. So if you are considering country as a as your focus, So if you are focusing on developing the policies, regulations, what should be the service, water service for a country basis. So then the water activities, those are happening in the neighboring countries. Those are the outside activities. If your focus is on the developing the water infrastructure or and policies in state level, then if you, for example, if you are focusing the water activities in Madhya Pradesh region, then what are the water activities those are happening in Uttar Pradesh, uh, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh. So those neighboring states, whatever the water activities are happening, if your focusing is on Madhya Pradesh, then the other states activities will be your outside activities. So that time your those activities will hamper the water, not hamper, that may affect positively or negatively your water policies which you will build for your, let's say, Madhya Pradesh. So that is the outside activity depends on what your focus points is, or what the government agencies focus point is who are concerned with the development of water related policies. That is that as per my understanding it is like that. So hope it is clear.
So once I read out the sentence which is given in the week 9 lectures, it would be helpful to understand that.
What what to give, I didn't understand.
Uh, the statement is governance and management of water resource generally remains unaffected by the management of activities outside water sector. Is this statement correct or incorrect?
His statement is correct only when there are no shared water resources between those concerned your focus is, and whatever outside activities you are considering. If there is no shared water resources, then generally that doesn't affect. But if there are shared water resources, as I told, one river may flow between all the two or three states, or maybe there may be some lake uh, through which the boundary of the two states or two countries are there. So in that situation, I mean, it will definitely affect. So it depends on the scenario. There is no state direct or indirect answer to that. So it depends on the your entirely whether there are shared resources or not. If there are shared resources, obviously other side activities will affect the internal policies. But generally, it doesn't happen, because it may so happen that the boundaries are drawn in such a way that there may not be any shared resources, or there may be shared resources. It depends actually. There is no straightforward answer to that. It depends on the scenario and case to case basis, as per my understanding.
In this statement, how can I know it is a shared or unshared resource?
Uh, I think it should be stated in the question. So, was there in the question? I mean, was some MCQ or true false statement was discussed in SATS class?
Uh, this is a MCQ question in week 9 question, sir.
Week 9 is this we are
Uh,
discussing now. So,
Week 9, it is a 15th question, sir. Other than that, other questions are okay.
so it is a assignment question you are saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Understood.
I go through all videos and lecture materials, sir, and but this question, sir, I didn't understand.
So it is not mentioned in the question that whether there are any shared resources or not.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Okay, so I think if it is not mentioned, then you should consider the general scenario that water resources may or may not be there. You don't know whether it is there or not. So it is affecting. That is, you should take it positively. So you should consider the external activities while deciding your internal policies. I guess the answer will be like that. Sometimes it may so happen that the answer that is provided to you, it may be wrong. So upon consideration of other factors, sometimes the answer is also corrected. So if the answer is shared and you see that whatever you have answered, and it is the answer given, it is not the same, or it is something different, you can always ask your I mean, your counter argument in the forum, and or you can raise that in Insights live session. Then the answer will be modified also. So don't worry about that. whatever you consider as per your that is called as per your intellectual understanding, whatever you consider to be correct, that you can answer only. So I mean, what should be yes or no, that they will give, don't worry about that, I will say. So later if you uh, uh, raise a justifiable counter argument, then I think the answer may be modified, right? So
Okay.
if the answer is no, then the water there must be, it must be mentioned that there should be no water resources, as per I understand. So maybe I'll look at the MCQ. So I can the thing is that I cannot directly answer to a question, MCQ question in this way. So it will be unethical. So I can say that I can, as per my understanding, it is like that only. I
So
can
I
answer you.
completed the week 9 assignments fully, but I haven't doubt on these questions only, sir.
Week nine's assignment is not shared with you, right? I mean,
Uh,
the answer is not shared with you. The question is shared.
Question is, sir, I completed it. Answer is not, sir.
As per my understanding, it is like that way. But I cannot directly answer you what should be the answer to that question, because
Okay, sir.
that
Understood,
will
sir.
be unethical. But you see, whenever the answer will be there, there will be an explanation portion. As in my sessions also, I conduct. There are explanations to certain questions, right? So in that answer that will be given, there will be an explanation. So if you disagree with that explanation and you are having some counter argument, you can always raise that, right?
Okay, sir.
As I explained you my understanding, so I would
Okay.
also do like that way only.
So I go through the all slides and videos, and there is no resource related to the questions. That's why I am asking you, sir.
Direct answer will not be given, but related answer. So the concepts you will develop by watching those lectures. Actually, we don't directly spoon feed the certain answers to you. What will happen, certain concept you will get developed, or your intellectual understanding will get developed throughout the course, so that you will be able to answer similar questions. You will not get direct answer, I think. So the course
Yes,
is
sir.
designed like that. Fortunately,
I
unfortunately,
have seen the
I am
questions.
also a PhD student like you. I have nothing to do about that. I also
Okay.
face such difficulties while answering questions. So if I was the teacher, I would set up the questions in like that way, that there was just answers were straightforward. Our system was like that, is like that, that we can do nothing about it.
Okay.
Yes. I also feel the similar, but yes, if you disagree with certain answer, you can always ask for counter argument that why it is so. Okay. So I hope your understanding is clear, right? That
I'm
why
understood, sir.
an external activities should affect or should not affect the internal policies. It depends on the scenario, basically.
Yes.
So don't I mean get tensed about one particular question. If it is even if it is answered wrongly, later it will be rectified. If you raise a justifiable counter, right? Because whenever SAD is developing one course, so it is also SAD is taking resources from research papers or books like that way, right? And science proceeds in that way only. So if someday Dalton said that the atoms are non-divisible, so then that is the correct. But science, the definition of science is that it is falsifiable. If later certain new developments comes, that the atoms are divisible, then the preconceived notions or customary law, you may say, that was earlier, that breaks down. So similarly, if you in some cases, in some laws cases also, the courts are given such judgments related to what our governments may be. So later, if some counter arguments comes and that is justifiable, then the previous notion gets breakdown. So I mean, it happens, but it will happen maybe 1 out of 10. Generally, whatever the answer will be given, whatever the judgments by the court will be there, whatever the norms or customs that will be there, that will be correct. But in some cases, that may get breakdown also. So in those are really exceptional cases, and exceptional actually defines the rule only. So Don't worry about that. The basic thing I want to say is that.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now we'll proceed with the next. So it is 7:15. So we can take maybe 5 minutes break, and then we can restart the session at 7:20 with the following questions. 7:20 or 21 maybe. It is 7:16. So 7:21 sharp will restart. We'll take a 5 minute break. So I hope your answer is clear on that. I cannot directly tell you the answer, but I think the concept is clear. But you can
Now,
always, if
concept is clear, sir.
after giving the concept, if you were see that it is conflicting with your level of understanding, then you can ask the question in the forum, or maybe directly interact with SAT in the session.
Okay, okay, sir.
That will be coming up before two sessions are covered. I hope you have watched it. Those are really insightful. And before your final exam, one more session will come. Uh,
Sure, sir.
yeah. Okay, so we'll start at 7:21. Thank you for
So it
asking
is,
those questions actually.
so it is
While
raining.
giving answer
There
also,
may be a
my
power cut.
understanding also improves to a certain level.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start sharp at 7:21. So welcome back. I hope you are back. Ojim has left. Okay. So I got an opportunity to look at your doubt. So whatever concept I just told you as your for clearing your doubt, I think I mean based on that only you will be able to answer that. So I think generally what happens that should that should be that should consider the factor outside the sector only. So uh, I mean, if it is specifically mentioned that there are no shared resources, then it will not affect. But if generally it is mentioned, then you have to consider that the general scenario which may occur in any case. So all the I mean there are interactivities. One sector obviously affects the other sector. It is not like that cannot while devising one policy, you cannot ignore what is happening not only the in the outside regions, but also within that same region. There are other aspects, the political, socio economic aspects, as you told. So those aspects must be considered while devising an water governance policy, because those aspects obviously will affect the water sector as well. So I'll not directly tell you the answer, but whatever I have discussed, based on that only, the answer will be there. So whichever statement will true or whichever will be false. So based on that only, I think okay. The answer is also not yet told to us. So I think it will be like that only. I just went to that question. So it is not some I mean alienated concept. It is just you just have to critically think, then only you will be able to answer based on the concept only, whichever we just discussed. Okay, so we'll go to the next MCQ. Ah, so not MCQ. Next, you have to again identify a correct statement, just like the question your problem you had you told. So here you have to identify the correct statement from the following. The statement one is water management tools and practices should promote multi-level cooperation among users, stakeholders, and governments. And statement two is disintegrated water resource management should prefer leading to decentralized water management. So you have to identify the correct statement from the following. You can type your answer in the chat box. Okay, you're telling option A is correct. Okay, Ajim is not there. I'll go with the explanation. So, disintegrated water resource can also be used for centralized water management at small scale. So, statement 2 is incorrect, while the statement 1 is correct, as you have correctly told. Okay. So, next MCQ is human rights principles comprises the principles of option A, non-discrimination and equality. Option B is access to information and transparency. Option C is accountability. And option D is all of the above. So it is not water rights principle, it is human rights principles. Comprises principles of which one of the following or all of the three. Okay, D all of the above. We'll go with the explanation again. So human rights principle comprises the principles of non-discrimination and equality, access to information and transparency, participation, accountability, and sustainability. So, as you have correctly told, all of the above is the correct answer. Okay, next MCQ. So today there is no problem solving. Again, I will tell, and I will reiterate. If you are having any doubt regarding the problem that was solved in the last session, we'll rediscuss it. Otherwise, you can type in the chat box, then we'll rediscuss it. Otherwise, we'll forward with whatever short questions are there in today's session. Okay, it is all based on either class 9 lectures or some of the previous lectures, like a recapitulation. Then, okay, the next MCQ is encouraging trade-offs across inter and intra-generation water users and between urban and rural sectors in water governance is helpful in option A, protection of water resources, option B, enhancing efficiency of water governance, option C is enhancing trust and engagement in water governance, and option D is enhancing effectiveness of water governance. I'll wait for 2 minutes to give the answer in chat box. Trade-off means something increases, as a result of that something else gets decreases, so inversely proportional. That is your trade-off. For example, if you are using a screen to for the purpose of sieving some particles, the big particles will return and small particles will pass through the screens. So the thing is that if your screen is very effective, efficient, it will separate your uh, perfectly separate the big particles, and small particles will pass through. But the but that thing, what happens that if that in that way your all of the holes of that screen must be very proper, so that decreases the flux, that is the passing rate of the particles. That screen may get damaged or choked. But this, if your hole is the holes of the screens are bigger, then what will happen, it will give you very good flux. It will the small particles will pass through, and you will get a good rate flow rate of particles. But the thing is that the big particles may come into the smaller ones. That means there is a trade-off between the selectivity and flux. In similar way, here they are telling about trade-offs across inter and intra-generation water users, and also urban and rural sectors. If there are if you are encouraging a kind of competition, certain kind of competition in between them, then what will happen? So the so if certain scenario is happening in water governance, that will help in which one of the following? Okay, we'll go with the explanation. So either it will protect water resource, enhance the efficiency of water governance, enhance the trust and engagement of water governance, or it will enhance the effectiveness of water governance. What will happen? So encouraging such trade-offs in water governance is helpful in enhancing trust and engagement in water governance itself. So it has nothing to do with the protection of water resources or enhancing the efficiency. Okay. So now we have to, again, it is a true false kind of thing. So you have to read the following statements and identify which one is true or false. Statement A is for countries lacking in water services coverage, implementation of right to water uh, means significant additional expenditures. And statement B is human right to water and sanitation ensures that every house must be served by water distribution systems and sewer systems. So it obviously the statement falls under the right to water, but whether it falls under human right also, that we will have to identify, and identify whether it's true and false. And in the statement A, where in the countries where there are less amount of coverage in terms of water services, then the right to water means significant additional expenditure, whether this statement is correct or not. Okay, I think Sanjay has left. For the sake of recording, I'll go just with the explanation. So, implementation of right to water to no service areas would mean significant additional expenditure in infrastructure setups and maintenance. Whereas right to water and sanitation does not entitle households to the services by water supply networks and or sewer systems, but only entitle every individual to have access to one or more safe water resources within a reasonable distance and time. Example, community taps or toilets. So hence, statement A is true and statement B is false. Okay, we can join. I just went to the answer for the sake of recording. Okay, I think you looked at the week 9's assignment question number 15, right? Okay, I mean, if you look at letter also, it is pretty clear. What I discussed, there will not press forward. Okay, okay, so there is next MCQ is for you. Indicators of good governance are option A, political freedom, option B, economic management, option C, judicial effectiveness, option D, all of the above. So if there is good governance of water, so what are the following factors? Which one of the following factors are, or all of the three factors are indicators of such good governance? We have half an hour. I think we'll be able to complete, or otherwise we'll discuss in the next session. Okay, I'll go with the answer. Uh, hmm. So the explanation is indicators are there are basically two indicators of the good governance. One is effectiveness of the government, and another one is the rule of law. So if there is rule of
Moment.
law, hello, uh, excuse me, did you said something? Oh, left. Okay. Why? Because if there is rule of law, government may not be effective to implement that, and the activities of the government may not be always as per the law. They can bring some certain ordinance to implement something based on the demand of time. So the things that, but both are in the indicators of the good governance. So what under the effectiveness of government, that is bureaucratic efficiency, economic management, extents of corruption, etc. So if there is good governance, there will be less corruption. And what under the rule of law, those are the political freedom, political stability, judicial effectiveness, and media effectiveness. So all of the above are the indicators of good governance. So this judicial effectiveness and the political freedom, these two are comes under the rules of law, and the economic management comes under the effectiveness of the government. Okay. So next MCQ is, what are borne disease caused due to improper sanitation? Is option A, typhoid, option B, tuberculosis or TB, option C is hepatitis B, option D is scurvy. So which one among the four are the waterborne disease that is caused due to improper sanitation. Sanjay Thought has left. I will tell the answer. So the explanation is the typhoid that is caused by a bacterium called Salmonella typhi and is spread through infected water. The tuberculosis is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is again your bacterium and is spread through air from person to person. While people with TB, that is tuberculosis, affect the lungs of other healthy people, of course, during cough, sneezing, split, speed, laugh, or talk. The hepatitis B is caused by a virus, that is hepatitis B virus, that spread through blood, semen, and or other body fluids. And the scurvy is caused due to deficiency of vitamin C. So it is a vitamin deficiency virus. Hepatitis B is a viral disease. So this is a disease which is caused by scurvy is caused with the deficiency of vitamin. The hepatitis is a viral disease, and typhoid and tuberculosis are bacterial disease. Okay, so now the typhoid is caused with the help of spread through infected water. So option A is the correct answer in our case. But there are other hepatitis also. Like there are actually from hepatitis A to E. There are basically your five hepatitis. And as far as I remember, hepatitis A actually, I think, caused with foods or drinks, etc. Hepatitis B is not. It is transmitted to blood and semen. If the option was hepatitis A, then you had to take it into consideration also. Okay. Now we will. Okay. Will the next MCQ is effectiveness of water policies and or plans can be evaluated through option A performance indicators, option B willingness to pay, option C daily water supply data, and option D coverage of water services. Okay, I will go with the explanation. So water governance benchmarking can assess the state of water resources and the effectiveness of water policies or plans through performance indicators. Okay, so option A performance indicator is the correct option in this case. So whether also Sanjay and Ojim joined in the middle. So these are the people Sanjay, Ojim, and also Jobin, uh, some other guy I forgot his name, uh, on Danesh Anbu. So I actually saw them to join, uh, not at a regular basis, but in the most of the sessions. But I'll also encourage other people to join. But otherwise, what will happen as Sanjay asked certain questions, so some concepts are clarified. So if you are joining and you are asking questions, then only it will get spread. The if there are certain problems with your concepts, then only that will get clarified. Otherwise, also if you watch the recording also, then so you'll get the benefits, but not get the full of it. So I strongly encourage for you for you who are watching the recordings later to attend the sessions live. Okay. Uh, Now the I'll go with the MCQs. I'll not wait for the answers. The next MCQ is inhibitors to success for implementation of right to water and sanitation includes option A unawareness and lack of funding, option B public reservation against water and sanitation rights, option C no interest by state parties, and option D is conflicts with commercial interests. I actually encourage also everyone to give the feedback. I believe most of you have already given. If you are not liking the sessions, or you are liking them very much, or whether some modifications must be there, you give your ratings. Based on that, we can modify, and we will try to meet your expectations. You can also write the reason for your not attending live, so whichever you like. But we strongly encourage whoever has not yet filled the feedback form of the live sessions, they can always actually give the feedback, and we encourage them to give the feedback. And also we expect that you attend the search sessions also. One more session is there, and at the end of the session also you give your feedbacks. Okay, in the forum where the ask question tab is there, you can click on that and you can give your feedback there also. uh, okay, so we'll go with the answer of this MCQ. The explanation is as follows: unawareness among common people can result into unhygienic living conditions. Lack of funding restricts states to plan a proper system for water distribution and collection and or disposal of used water. Thus, it is an inhibitor in success of right to water and sanitation. So, the unawareness and lack of funding, that is option A, is your inhibitor to successful implementation of right to water and sanitation. The next MCQ is: which one of the following is not a must among the principles of good water governance? Option A is participation, option B is accountability, option C is subsidy, and option D is responsiveness. Okay, so participation, transparency, equity, accountability, coherence, responsiveness, integration, and ethics. These are all the principles of good water governance, whereas the option C, subsidy, is not. The human right to water and sanitation that doesn't call for services to be free of charge comes under the category of option A, availability, options B, acceptability, option C, affordability, and option D is accessibility. So these are two different terms: acceptability and accessibility. So the water may be safe, but due to coloration, that may not be acceptable to people. Availability means, you know, that affordability means it is available, but also not costly. So that it is affordable by most of the section of the society. And accessible means there are good infrastructure to send the water from the source to the all sections of people, or from the treatment plant to the all section of the people. That means the accessibility. You have to answer that under which category among these four the uh, the service to be free of charge. These statements come under which category of the four? And also it is described under the human right to water and sanitation. Okay. So the explanation is: the affordability criteria for sanitation services under right to sanitation means that there is need to develop some tariffs, that is your cost, and subsidy systems, or in some cases free services, to ensure that services are affordable for all. So the affordability is the category of the question. Okay. Now the next MCQ is: active public participation in water governance may be enhanced By option A, ensuring accountability on service providers. Option B, equitable distribution of water. Option C, enhancing transparency, making data and information freely available. And option D is none of the above. So active participation in water governance may be enhanced by which one of the following? How public will participate more in water governance? So the enhancement of the transparency, making data and information freely available, can encourage active participation in water governance. So option C is the correct answer here. So the next MCQ is, likewise, any basic liberty, the right to water forces different kinds of commitments on state parties. Those are option A, passing legislations, allocating budgets, protecting people's access to water. Option B is devising and implementing programs, probing with people's access to water. Option C is monitoring the progress of schemes, disconnecting the water supply. And option D is all of the above. So today's attendance I can give as 2 or 3, as Ojim and Sanjay joined, and also other one other people joined. I think he has not commented or responded to any question, but he already joined for 5 or 6 minutes, I think. So we can give today's attendance as 2 or 3. Two will give. And we proceed with the answer. So the explanation is, as with any human right, the right to water imposes 3 different types of obligations on state parties to fulfill. Namely, option A is passing legislations, allocating budgets, and devising and implementing programs. Number B is respect, that is, government should not interfere with people's access to water. And number C is protect, that is, government must protect people's access to water from inferences of others. Those others may be your man-made, or those others may be natural calamity like situations. So all of, your the your that is called the passing legislations, allocating budgets, and protecting people's access to water. This is the correct option. We will run for this session maybe for 10 more minutes. Then we can just continue. So next question, you have to match the left hand groups with the potential goals. Those are mentioned in the right hand side of the column. So the groups are policy planners, administrative institutions, and NGOs. These are the entities. And the goals are implementations, user engagements, and decision making. So which goal is the responsibility of which group? That we will have to share. Because nobody is there, I'll go with the answer. So the potential goal of policy planner is to make the decisions. The administrative institution's goal is to implement the taken decisions, and the role of the NGOs are user engagements, that is to increase the public participations in the water governance or water management activities, and also in policy making also. So it is NGO's role to bridge the gap between the authorities and the end users. Okay, so there is another MCQ. Which one of the following is the correct entitlement under right to water? Minimum 150 liters per capita per day of water. Option B is free water. Option C is safe and acceptable quality of water, and option D is all the above. And the explanation is free water supply and or minimum 150 liters per capita per day cannot ensure the quality of the supplied water. Only safe and acceptable quality water is correct entitlement under the right to water. That is your option C. Next question. Which of the following is not an essential building block for good water governance? Option A is an adequate financing source. Option C, B is stakeholders involvement mechanism. Option C is powerful administrative organization. Option D is availability of enough water resources. So the explanation is availability of enough water resources is not a necessary criteria for a good governance. A good governance is also required when the resource is scarce. So option A, sorry, option not option A, your option D, that is the availability of water resources. That is your correct answer, because when the resources is scarce, you also know what scarce means. That means your less than 10 LLPA per capita. Per capita water, when the per capita water is less than 10 lakhs of liters per annum, the per capita availability of water, then the resource is for a particular region is called as the scarce. In that condition also, your good water governance is required. So availability of enough water resources actually is not an essential building block. Okay. So next MCQ. Division of transboundary water resources is addressed by option A state parties, option B global standard regulations, option C non-government organization, and option D is none of the above. As we told, the NGO and state parties are not involved when the transboundary means this is an international boundary between two countries. So that at that time, as we discussed, outside water activities and inside water activities, if the national interest is in focus, then the disputes are actually resolved by the international courts or international rules and regulations, which are there for the shared water resources. That is your global standard regulations, where countries share water resources on their boundaries. The division of such resources is covered by international customary laws that specifically address the division of transboundary water resources. So option B is correct. Now, next MCQ. How much time is left? It is 7:55. Okay, I think within 5 minutes I will be able to complete whatever questions are left. As I am running empty, nobody is there to answer. I hope people will watch the session later and ask uh, questions or doubt if they are having any in the forum. Okay. So the greater private sector involvement usually comes under option A market-led governance, option B distributed governance, option C hierarchical governance, and option D no governance. So private sector is definitely directly linked with market-led governance. activities. So it is pretty obvious from the name itself. Option A is the correct answer. Now the next MCQ is which one of the below option is a pushed approach for guaranteeing the accomplishment towards the right to water. Hmm. So option A is effective system of observing. Option B is data dispersal and straightforwardness. Option C is engaging all partners, including communities and NGOs. Option D is all of the above. So the explanation is regular monitoring, data data dispersal means dissemination only. That means you're publishing the data, or how you transfer, or how you your that is show the data to the public, and transparency and all stakeholders engagement. Told previously that who are the potential stakeholders for a water related activities are, so their engagement, these are all considered as key approaches for the successful uh, implementation of right to water. So all of the above is the correct answer in this case. Now I think this one is the last MCQ, I believe. Or uh, maybe one or two MCQs are there. So analyzing the public and environmental needs of water and various options to ensure effective services and guide the administrator about preferred alternatives is a role of option A, expert in the water governance. Option B is the government officials. Option C is private individuals, or option D is users. Analyzing the public and environmental needs of water and various options to ensure effective services. This role and the role of guidance, providing guidance to the administrators about preferred alternatives. Who should play the role of the analysis and the providing guidance to the administrator about preferred alternatives? Apparently, it seems that all the four options are correct. So because all are the stakeholders and all should take part in the water governance related activities. But is it so? Here, some specific rules are there. It has been told that you have to analyze the public and environmental needs of water. And you have to explore different options and guide the administrator about it to ensure the effective services. So, though all should participate in the water governance related activities, are all of them well qualified to carry out these roles? So that is the question. So it is 8 p.m. Now we are having maybe a couple of questions more. So we will go with the explanation. Experts in water governance helps the stakeholders to discover what are the implications of the different options and to aid them in inventing new options, and also they suggest the policymakers and implementers, those are the politicians and administrators, about the attributes and variation on their preferred solutions. So I think we are at the position we have covered 75% of this course, and we have we are well enough to become a we are I mean we are well enough to be a expert of water governance on an individual basis, and we are qualified enough to play such roles if our profession demands in our future. Whereas the other government official, maybe they are working in the banking sector, the private individuals or users who may not be well qualified in playing such roles, but the expert in the water governance are supposed to play such roles. Now I think it is the last MCQ. Which one of the below criteria is vital for human right to sanitation but not for human right to water? Option A is affordability, option B is safety, option C is privacy, and option D is physical accessibility. So we will proceed with the explanation. Uh, Both human right to water and human right to sanitation emphasize that water and sanitation services should be physically accessible, safe, and affordable. That is your option D, B, and A. Right. So further sanitation services should also offer privacy, which is not a criteria for water services. So the privacy, that is your option C, is the correct option. Okay, so we have reached the end of our session. Thank you everyone for watching the recording. We will be watching the recording. Uh, Nobody is there now. We will meet in the next session. Hope in the next session everyone will be attending live. Good night. 70% of portion we have covered. Goodbye.